It's nearly that time where we're going to flip our calendars from 2023 to 2024, and it's been a bit of a year for Arizona Cardinals fans, to say the least. They hit the full reset button and it began a full rebuild with new GM Monty Ossenfort and head coach Jonathan Gannon. Bo Brock, Johnny Venerable, PHNX Cardinals, as we put 2023 in the rearview mirror. Hope springs eternal, JV, with Ossenfort and all that draft capital, all that cap space. So we're going to break down the top 5 things to get excited for the Arizona Cardinals in the new year.
I think there's more than 5, but we've narrowed it down to the 5 things we believe, like mark it on your calendar. It's a big time to be an Arizona Cardinal fan. And it starts with number 5, that being Kyler Murray. Assuming that Kyler Murray is the guy, and he's got guarantees that kick in 5 days after the new league year. Assuming that Kyler Murray, QB1 for the Arizona Cardinals, is in-house this offseason, it's a full offseason with K1. You're telling me Gannon and Petzine and Ossenfort and K1 are all going to be in the building come January, grinding like heck to be able to build on what they did at the tail end of 2023, to get the taste out of their mouth and potentially picking within the top 3 in the 2024 NFL draft? Of course they are. And instead of Kyler Murray in crutches and in the training room rehabbing from his torn ACL last year, he's going to be on the practice field. He's going to be in the weight room. He's going to be in the film room. He's going to be chatting it up with Michael Wilson and company, taking exchanges from Yelda Frothol, which he got robbed of all of last season. Kyler Murray's biggest professional jump came from year 1 to year 2. I believe his biggest career jump is going to come from year 1 to year 2 in Drew Petzine offense. So number 5, what to be excited for, Bo, is Kyler Murray's full offseason with this franchise.
Sign me up in the offseason. Jump on Instagram, check out Kyler Murray's stories, and there he is throwing to Michael Wilson in Dallas somewhere. And speaking of Michael Wilson, that's our number 4 thing to look forward to, is the development of this robust 2023 NFL draft class. Now, look, you're waiting for the 2024 class, but you can get excited about last year's class, Monty Ossenfort's first NFL draft class that included Paris Johnson, 6th overall. At the recording of this video, hasn't missed a snap all season. He's been steady at the right tackle spot. Looks like he was the right selection. BJ Ujulari, pass rusher out of LSU. He continues to develop. Garrett Williams looks like he's healthy again after tweaking his knee. He's been playing sticky in the slot and looking good in the defensive secondary for the Cardinals. And then, of course, Michael Wilson. Hopefully he gets back on track. Some of you were excited about training camp earlier in the season. And you got like Clayton Tune, Keitrell Clark, Owen Papo. You also can sprinkle in Jonathan Gaines coming off of the ACL surgery. Add him some depth as far as that offensive line, and then some undrafted guys or guys that they brought in after preseason win. Elijah Higgins at the tight end position, and then of course Amari Dermacado, who I think could vie for a roster spot next season.
Yeah, I'm excited about year 2 from 2023's draft class. I'm also excited about year 2 from JG and his coaching staff. That's number 3 on our what to be excited for in 2024. Jonathan Gannon, I thought, has had a pretty darn good year given the circumstances. Competitive, outcoached Mike Tomlin, outcoached Mike McCarthy. A lot of people thought this team would go winless this year. I mean, they've got 3 games, which is nothing to write home about, 3 dubs this year. But I've been impressed with Gannon from a composure standpoint. I think he's done a nice job developing his 2 young coordinators, which we assume will be back in the fold, in Drew Petzine and Nick Rallis. This is somebody that's got immense confidence. When we see him in the locker room, press conferences, never doubts who he is and what he's about. And everybody knew this year they were going into a lightsaber fight with a wiffle ball bat. I mean, it was difficult on most Sundays for this team to be even competitive. You see the kind of the maturation process of this roster, what's going to happen over the next 12 to 18 months. We'll look back on this first year. We'll probably say to ourselves, much better coaching job than even we gave him credit for. Keep this ship on track. Very few times in NFL history where you can say that team stripped it down, the head coach survived and thrived. I really do believe this is going to be one of those instances. He is somebody that's delegated responsibilities. He's empowered his coordinators. Jeff Rogers, still phenomenal as a special teams coordinator. Nick Sirianni's having a tough time in Philadelphia right now. And he's a delegator, right? Jonathan Gannon feels empowered to do that with his 2 coordinators, with his 3 coordinators. So I'm excited to see that ahead of free agency, Bo.
Yeah, get this man some talent. You'd be hard-pressed to find a roster more devoid of talent than the Arizona Cardinals in 2023. That's why you look ahead to the first opportunity to get this roster and improve it is the 2024 free agency that's going to hit in March. Go out there. They're going to, as of right now, according to several publications, whether it's Over the Cap or Spot Track, they've got anywhere from like 55 to about just under $70 million in cap space. That's enough cap space to do some damage. That includes Kyler Murray's big cap number next year. That includes James Conner, who's going to have a cap number about 7.5. You can decide what you want to do with that. DJ Humphries, Buda Baker. Other than that, you really don't have guys making a whole ton of money on this roster. So let's look at the free agent market. Can they go out there? Who hits the market? Does it Jalen Johnson? Does Jarius Sneed, the cornerback, sit the market? T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, Michael Pittman Jr. As far as the wide receivers go, defensive linemen. This is going to be the first chance for Monty Ossenfort to show what he's capable of as a GM as far as buying talent on the free agent market instead of stripping down a roster and then building through the draft.
Yeah, the free agency is going to be pivotal. They cannot sit out free agency for the third consecutive year. It's going to be the icing, but it's not going to be the cake. We know what the cake is. It's the 2024 NFL Draft. It's a draft class, frankly, we've been talking about since the day after the 2023 draft ended. It's a blue chip rich draft. Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, Joe Alt. The names are household names, frankly. And the Arizona Cardinals are going to have a crack at all of them. 13 draft picks. At the recording of this show, they can add to it, they could subtract to it, they can move up, they can move down. This really does feel like last year, the meat and potatoes draft, right? Line of scrimmage players, blue collar draft, as we titled it last year. This year, it's star power. It's the draft class that should be headlined, in my opinion, by a generational wide receiver prospect in Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to have an opportunity to take a pass rusher, defensive lineman, cornerback with their second one coming from the Houston Texans. They could potentially be picking 1 to 3 in every single round that they have. Oh, by the way, they've got Houston's pick. They've got Tennessee's pick in the third round, which is top 70. The meat and potatoes of this draft was last year. This year, it's the bulk of this roster. When we look back, if Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort have success, it's going to be built, in my opinion, off of this class because of the premium picks that they have. It's going to jumpstart their rebuild. And to kind of put a bow on everything, you should feel great about this draft because what you've seen from 2023, this is a coaching staff that has empowered young players to play. This is not a coaching staff that has said, you're going to have a red shirt year. We'll see in 1 to 3 years when we can't make an analysis ahead of free agency. This regime plays rookies, and they're going to play early and often from this 2024 group.
The Arizona Cardinals are now a draft and develop organization, and you mentioned the class last year. In the first 100 picks, they had 4 of those selections, right? You had 6th overall in Paris Johnson Jr., starter. B.J. Ojulari, 41st overall, starter. You got Garrett Williams at 92, starter. And then at 96, you've got Michael Wilson as a starter. They've got 6 picks in that span, this upcoming draft as it stands now, 2, 16, 34, 66, 69, and 81. Could he add 6 more starters via the draft? It's exciting to think about. What do you believe is the most exciting thing to look forward to for the Arizona Cardinals 2024 offseason? Drop a comment. Of course, like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports and listen to PHNX Cardinals wherever you find podcasts. Talk to you soon.